Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whichever one it is for all of you. Welcome to What's My Story. I'm the host, Napoleon Bell, and I'm so glad to be able to do another edition of What's My Story to talk to ordinary people that are doing extraordinary things here in Central Ohio and even outside of Central Ohio, as you'll see in future shows. So it is my pleasure, though, for this particular show, we're going to be speaking with Al Edmondson. If you don't know Al Edmondson, you don't know anybody here in Central Ohio. So let me bring on Al. Al Edmondson, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Napoleon. Thank you for having me on today, man. It's great
Yeah,
to
well,
see you.
yeah, you too, you too. We've known each other for a long time,
Yes,
and
sir.
but it has been great. It's been a great time, and when I thought about, and when I tell people about what's my story, I couldn't help but talk, think about you, think about your story, and all that you have done currently in the past, and since we were just youngsters, right?
Right.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so let's talk a little bit about that. Let's go back many years to where did you grow up? So people know.
And so, basically, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. I'm one of those kids that had to travel around from project to project. My mother had me at 16, and so my father was around, but he wasn't around. But I
Mm.
lived in all parts of the neighborhood. I lived in Sullivan Gardens to Aglet Green to the Linden area, and then I landed up on the east side living with my dad after my mom and dad split. And so I'm grateful to be a proud graduate of East High School. We got a
Okay.
lot of history, you know, we got a lot of
Yeah.
history, and I just I'm a Columbus kid. I love my city and I love my neighborhood. And so for many years, I've been owning my barbershop and being able to do great things in this neighborhood and throughout the whole city.
Yeah. So you from high school, from East High School. Well, let me ask you about East High School. Um, how was it being that kid who maybe moved around different schools and what have you? But how was your experience? What was your experience in East High School, and what do you remember most about going to East?
Well, one of the things I remember most is that they had a long history of tradition, championships and sports. In the know, people don't know that East High School was one of those schools. Tony Roseboro and those guys back in the 70s, they were debaters on In the Know. In the Know was like the thing that you have to go. You got to know these different things. They went to the state championship in the Know. Everybody always think about sports and that's it. But the academics at East was just amazing as well because we had good teachers at those times. And I was part of the where they integrated the schools with busing, and so we had kids from the bottom because they shut down Central, and then they brought kids from the bottoms to East. Then they also brought people from Clintonville who've never been around African Americans to East High School, and then they shipped people from
Oh wow.
the neighborhood. They shipped people from the neighborhood to West High School, and then they sent them to Centennial. So that was a part of desegregation during that time, and so I was a part of that movement during those years. Was it a struggle to be around other kids that didn't look like you? Yes, but we became over the years those who have made it. Now we're all still friends to today because we went through that all together, and it was difficult
Mm.
at those times. With the protests that was happening during those times. And I can remember because I was a ninth grader and seeing people marching and people were upset about their kids going, to a black school where they should be going out here at Centennial and vice versa. And so it didn't make a lot of sense at the time, but it was necessary for them to understand our culture and for them to and for us to understand their culture.
Yeah. So how did you being, you said ninth grade, and seeing that some of your friends having to go across town and
Right.
vice and all of that, what did that do to you? I mean, because I know I've got several friends that happened to, and they felt some kind of way that they're kind of upset about all this going on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely because um it was it was just transforming for everything. because we had to get used to, you know, these kids walking, you know, growing up with us, and then they had to get used to them growing up with us and us growing up with them. But at the end of the day, we all became friends because, you know, sports and athletics have the way to bring people together, right? And
Yes.
so those type of things that we would bring, you know, the football team, some of them guys were big. We needed linemen at the time, and or defensive backs, and then also with the other things like within the know, we had a mixture of folks that year in 1998 that they were able to go to the state championship and end in the know. So we needed that combination and that opportunity to learn from each other during those times, those difficult times. But at the end of the day, we all came together to be Tigers. You know, we all graduated together. We all did dances together because East High School was a party school. You know, we had WVKO. You remember that? With Craig Bishop every Friday night. Then even after that, we had the Funky Rock Show. You know, we used to have all these school dances. So, you know, these kids don't understand the East High School, man. We used to kick it, and we had great times, great times, my brother. And so it was just you know, it brought people together to understand the different way, the different culture. And so now what you see now, you know, we'll get ready to celebrate 100 years of the building coming up, and a lot of these people who I'm contacting, they're coming to the event, you know, because I still got relationships with them. I can pick up my friend that lives in Clintonville or on the west side. I can still call them if we never lost beat since 1986.
Wow, that's great. That, you know, that I think, you know, those long lasting relationships which you never thought would have happened back in the day, but you were kind of pushed together and it definitely all worked out. So you said, so after high school, you're out of high school. What was your next steps?
My next steps, I played college football for 2 years at Finley, and
what position did you play?
I was a receiver. I was number 3 receiver in the district of state of Ohio as a receiver.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I had a whole bunch of catches. I only had a couple touchdowns, but I had a whole bunch of yards. So I was a possession receiver, but you know, after high school, I went to Finley College for a little bit. And my dad was a factory worker. He didn't understand about paying tuition for books. And so I can make it. I went to Finley College, and you know, he didn't understand again of being a factory worker, how you got paid for school, because he never went past high school. He went straight to work in factories, you know, at the dispatch, the duplex, those printing machines, places like that at the time. And he was just a factory worker. So, and then he worked with Toledo Blade. And so he didn't understand that you got paid tuition, you know, book fees and those type of things at the time. And by him not paying those bills, I had to drop out. I had a partial scholarship. And so what I decided to do is join the U.S. Army, because my uncle was a paratrooper. He was a ranger. My aunt was this. And my whole family said the way to get out of the neighborhood is to join the armed forces so you can see the world. And that's what I think some of our young kids need to do. They need to get out the neighborhood to get involved in other things. And the military is a great place to start, so you can get out of Columbus, Ohio. You can be in Texas, you can be in Houston, you can be in Alaska, you can be in Hawaii, you can be in all these special places that you always dream to be, you know, you dream about or seen on TV. So I use that as a stepping stone for me to try to go back to school. Unfortunately, the tuition went up like it always do every year. And so I came back home and I decided to join the Army Reserves and try to go back to school. And, you know, I had a guy talk to me about becoming a barber because I cut hair in school at the time. And I decided to become a barber, go to school. And then once I finished school, and I think that's when me and you met. Once I was in barber school, you know, you and your roommate. And we used to have great times too, didn't we? but yeah, we had some great times, man. You know, just talking outside, you know, just talking about life. And so that's when I decided, you know, once I finished barber school, A month later, I was activated because that's when the Gulf War in the 90s, the Gulf War had just started out. And so I had got activated 1 month after I got out of barber school. I just started working at this barbershop
Oh my
called
goodness.
it's called Diplomat DeWitt's on the east side. And a month later, man, I was at war. I was in the Gulf
Hmm.
for 13 months.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, that's kind of my journey. And then once
Hmm.
I got back home, um, I went back to the same barbershop that I was working at. You know, they opened me up with arms. They did a
Yeah.
story with me in the dispatch, coming back home as a veteran. And you know, but I still wasn't right, man, because I had some PTSD because of some of the things I've experienced over there.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna ask you about that. How did that, because people, that have not been to war or not experienced it, when you talk to somebody or like, talk to people who went to the Vietnam War, et cetera, that is something that I can't even imagine, can't even fathom it. And so I
right,
can't imagine coming back and then being, Joe Smith in a sense back here in the States and how that affects you. So
right.
you
I just
said
think,
that,
yeah, I think this PTSD is real. You know, one of the things I really didn't want to go outside at times. I stayed around certain people. Um, and it takes a while because you know when and it goes back to mental health is that I didn't think I had a problem, but I did have a problem.
mm,
You know, because
mhm,
I would, for instance, I'm gonna be transparent here with your audience. I drank a lot just to suppress what I saw,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I would talk with my friends. I mean, we wouldn't be out in the club. We just get around. You know, we watching TV, watching a game or whatever, and we just drank, man, and until we just maybe passed out because of
mm,
some of the things that we experienced over there. We was happy to get home, but until I got some help going to the VA and friends and families that supported me, to get me back on track, and
right,
cutting hair, being able to go to work. And so
yeah,
I mean it allowed me to um change my life and then joining the church. I go to New Salem Missionary Baptist Church. Allow me to get around positive things, help
mm,
cultivate where I'm at today.
yeah, yeah. Where you're at today is an amazing journey from the beginning until now. And you start out cutting hair, but now you own a shop.
Yes,
Very well known shop.
30 years
That
now. About to go on 30
yeah,
years, man.
30 years. Goodness gracious. So you should have had a counter on the wall saying like, I've cut 4,000 heads, or so however many people that you have serviced because that's a long time. That's saying a lot. But also, when in your shop, it's kind of a historical place, from the
Mhm.
pictures on the wall and the mural and all of those things that and all those things that happen right there at the shop.
Yes,
You have that it's been one of those places where it's a true meeting place
yes,
and a
sir.
conversation place.
Yeah, and I can elaborate on that because I never thought it would get to this point because at one point I had a partner and and I didn't know I was a visionary, but then when I started looking back at the things I thought about, um, as far as the things that I've always done, and so I had a partner at the time, and then I bought him out because he had some financial issues. But then I can remember that I opened the first black video store in the neighborhood that had all black movies back in the day,
Hmm.
Tyler
Oh
Perry
wow.
time. And a customer of mine bought me an article about first black barbershop next door, black video store, things
Hmm.
like that. And then,
Yeah.
of course, and then after that, I began to do men's health in 1995 with the American Heart Association because my good friend Jill Shaw, she reached out to
Hmm.
me and said, you need to engage in black men in mental health, not mental health, but high blood pressure because the number of African American men are dying because of high blood pressure and stress. And so she kind of like, you got to do this. and I went through a training with the American Heart Association. And before the African American men walking all those cats, we were doing barbershop screenings right here in this shop in 1994. Every Friday for men to come in to get screened for years. Then
Right.
Pi to Phi, which is an African American Nursing Association, they joined on board. They come on Saturday. They used to come every first Saturday of the month, and so we've been doing screenings for ever and making sure men's health is a part of the wellness that we want to talk about in barbershops. And so and of course then prostate cancer awareness, and I had a couple of clients pass away from that. And a good friend of mine now, he's an advocate for prostate cancer awareness. But the barbershop is the meeting place where you can get everything. And I always tell barbers, if you don't engage your customers and learn some about your customers, man, you can be helpful. Because a lot of people just look at the money. The money's great, but you can be more than just a barber. And that's what I want them to see now with me is being, you can just, I'm a great barber. I'm the type of guy, I always want to be number one, and I'm number one. And so, but I want to make sure I plant seeds with these other barbers to show you can do things outside of barbering, and then that can draw people to your shop more, to be more community minded. And I'm seeing that today because I was on a call with my brother's keeper and he's doing a barber project. And so I show up on the screen and all these barbers listen to me, listen. They was listening and I'm talking to them like, listen, on the east side, west side, north side, wherever they were, I'm letting them know you're more than just a barber. You're more than just a barber, because they don't understand. You go to school, they don't talk about that. They don't talk about being in the community. They talk about, okay, you're a barber, you make this money. But I told them, I said, you are more than just a barber, and your clients should know that. So what are you going to do to make sure that you're more than just a barber? And these are the things you need to do.
Right.
And they all leaned in, like Eve Hutt talking. And I say, yeah, I got their ear now. So, and I've been working with a lot of them to making sure to get them connected with Donate Life. I got them connected with that, American Heart Association, American Cancer, and just opportunities with Narcan in the neighborhoods. We have Narcans in barbershops to train barbershops how to administrate, just in case somebody has fentanyl, they pass out, from that. So all this is important, and I'm just trying to leave a good legacy for these young people that are coming up behind me.
Yeah, not only are you cutting hair, but you're saving lives, right? Saving lives, inspiring others, and that is truly what it's all about. And you talk about some of these programs that you've been doing there for many years, but also you're doing some things right now, like this piece here. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's my Making a Difference Dad's Fraternity. Making a Difference is a nonprofit that we first started out on doing helping fathers out, helping fathers understand their role in the household, in or out of the household. And this breakfast that I wanted to do because, there's so much emphasis around Father's Day that other things go around Father's Day that don't particularly pertain to men other than Sunday. And so I do, for the last 4 years, even during COVID, we do a free breakfast for fathers. And we invite these dads. All you got to do is register. It's on Saturday. It's not going to take away from the Sunday. And we get almost about, the first one was 80 fathers. The second one was 110. And then last year, it was 235 men that came out for a free breakfast cooked by Creole Kitchen. I'm going to give them a plug because they got the great fish grits. We do a soul food breakfast, man, with scrambled eggs, fish and grits. We had sweet potato pie. We had a spread this year.
Oh my goodness!
All the men loved it. And then we have people to come in, dads, to give their testimony about being a father. Clark Kellogg was our keynote speaker and talked about, as a dad, we mess up sometimes, but we don't get it right all the time. But as a father, we're going to keep trying. And and they bring their kids to breakfast as well. And it's a diverse group of people that come out. and it's free.
Yeah.
And I'll get sponsors to pay for it. And it's a free breakfast for fathers, just to say, and then we give them a goodie bag and some material. And this year I did barbecue aprons, barbecue grill aprons with Dad's fraternity on it. And just, because dads, we like to cook. And I got yours if you need it when you stop by. But we got, and then we had the limited and Victoria's Secret give us Bath and Body Works and some products for men. So I believe in smelling good all the time. So I'm like, hey,
Right.
y'all got some soap, y'all got some gel, something we can use to give to the men to get them. And it was a blessing, man. A lot of these men were very grateful. And last but not least, we did this thing with My Special Word, which is a program that talks about, words are powerful. And so everyone had a bracelet similar to something like this. And I had them put it on. And as a father, you have to define what is your special word as a father. And that meant a lot, to these men. And I mean, some guys, man, they were so impacted by Clark Kellogg's speech, and some of the other presenters that we talked about. We always go health, we have somebody at keynote, and then somebody talks about the financial literacy as a dad. You got to know how to handle your money. Make sure you take care of your business. But it was just a blessing, man, to have some of these men come up and say, man, I really appreciate this. I needed it. And, and so forth.
Yeah.
And so
tell me about this. This is another piece that you've done. I mean, I'd say we could go on for about 30 different slides about all the different programming and pieces that you've done to really work in that community. But I just want, we have time to talk about a few here. What about this that was done in the King Lincoln Memorial Parade?
Yeah. And so, of course, I'm a veteran, and I am also the president of the Mount Vernon District Improvement Association. And so years back, we used to do a parade for veterans to honor our African-American veterans in our community, just to say thank you for your service. And so during the COVID years and the years before, 4 years ago, I said, well, let's bring back the parade to bring awareness and community pride and recognize veterans within our community. And I teamed up with the fraternities and sororities and men's groups and stuff like that, the VFWs. And I told them, each person give me a name. We're going to honor somebody at this King Lincoln District Parade. And I tell you what, man, the response was so phenomenal that we had 435 participants in the parade.
Oh my goodness!
I wanted to send you the picture to send it to you, where you can see the parade stretched all the way from the King Lincoln, from the King Arts Complex all the way down to Champion. A sea of veterans, the sea of fraternities, the sea of people who joined the parade, man. And that was so amazing. And then when we got to the park at Mamie Moore, we honored veterans, Black veterans.
Wow.
Out of sororities and fraternities. Powerful moment. And some of them cried, man. And it was this one brother who was a Persian Gulf veteran. He sold drugs, got arrested, got out, got his life together, and he's in a father program at the Urban League. And we honored that brother, man, and that touched his heart. That I'll never forget the moment, man. Where he thought he had no hope during that time, but getting that award meant so much to him and his family.
Yeah.
Things we have to do to impact our people in our community.
And I bet that it not only impacted him and his family, but I bet everybody in that audience too, right?
Oh yeah. Man. I mean, people. It's going to be bigger next year. We were already planning, because they're talking about floats now. And so my thing is bring back the old traditions. I'm bringing back stuff that they used to do down Mount Vernon Avenue. And we celebrate. It was peaceful celebration. We only had one patrol officer that came, and he did the whole thing. And then I have volunteers to help block the streets off the motorcycle club.
Very good.
One state patrol came, And so it was, my thing is this, my key to my success is everything I do, I pray for it. I pray for it publicly before we get started on anything. Before we march down the street, I gather everybody up, all the fraternities. We get ready to pray, and I just thank God for it, and that's what makes these things successful, because we're gonna put Him first and let Him do the rest.
Yes, definitely, exactly. Now let me skip to this one because we're gonna run out of time, but we could just talk forever.
Yeah,
this is something that has been happening, and the communities have been struggling with for a long time, and even today it seems like things are out of control. But you're trying to do some things there to, hey, put the guns down. Let's have the conversation.
Yeah. So this right here, one of my clients, his grandson got killed, and with this right here, God placed it on my heart just to stand up, pull some people together, and so we're gonna do a press conference, and we're gonna call a ceasefire. I'm military, so when it's a ceasefire, that means it's a day of atonement. And I purposely put it on Juneteenth weekend, because those are the days when all across the country there's always shootings in Chicago and so forth. And I said, in the Columbus, Ohio, when we first did it, I called for a ceasefire. I printed this flyer out and shared it with young people to circulate on their Facebook pages around the country. This went viral the first year we did it. I had news stations calling me from Texas and everything after we did a press conference on a Sunday. And actually in Columbus, Ohio, they put the guns down for 24 hours. And it was a success. This year we done it again. I brought a casket out as a visual, because the casket represented 50 people who had just been killed, teenagers, etc., right before that ceasefire. And we almost made it with 12 minutes left. Somebody got shot on High Street.
Oh, goodness.
In Short North.
Yeah.
And the news came and says, was it a failure? I said, no, it wasn't. I'll be back next year, and I'm going to keep doing it until we continue to do it.
Right.
This means a lot to my heart, because we have to find a better way to dissolve our arguments and disagreements. And so I'm going to keep doing ceasefire. It just, God gives me a vision. I got to act on it, and I got to say something, whether it costs my life. But I'm going to do it because I was willing to die for my country at that time, and I'm willing to die for these kids out here in these streets if I have to, just to tell them to put the guns down. And so that's where I'm at. I'm in that space right now where we have to stop. We got to find different ways to disagree and agree.
Yeah, so, to agree to disagree, right? And just
I can't even get it out, man. Because when I see that picture, man, I just think about the funerals that I've been to.
Yeah,
and the faces that I've seen, and the parents, the hugs, and they hold you real tight. Like, what? Why am I? And I got two boys. 24, 21. They grown. They can be out somewhere, mistaken, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, my youngest son looked like the boy that just got killed by the police officer that shot the boy in the bed.
Yeah.
My youngest son. When I looked at that picture, and I said, "That's my son." Same haircut, same everything. And guess what? They were friends with his brother.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So my kids were friends with the boy's brother that died.
Yeah. And I tell you, I've done a series with the Mothers of Murdered Children, that group.
Oh yeah.
We work together with those mothers, and talking about just painful. But in our conversation, we're trying to lift up their young person who had passed, and remembering them for who they were, and who they are in a sense, but also that saying that they're more than just a number, because we often think about those that are victims of gun violence as just a number on a tally rather than who they were. And so so this that's amazing. But yeah, I appreciate you continuing on regardless of what's going on, to make sure that at least there's somebody saying this to those in the streets, those, getting the word out, and it's not going away, that we need to continue to push to ceasefire, not only for one day, but, hopefully for every day, if that's even a possibility. But so one last thing that I want to get to you, and because I run out of time here, but this, what was going on here in this picture here?
Right. Well, right now we have a group of Black men. We call it the Black Men's Collective. We're trying to get more African American men to get out the vote. And again, it's a partnership with the sorority, the fraternities, and to get out and do voter registration, voter education, voter mobilization. And we're trying to make sure we get more Black men engaged in this process politically. And so we got out last week. We did a canvas in the neighborhood to start registering Black men. And now we're starting to high school, because we're allowed to go into high school now, and start registering people in our community and making sure they know where they need to go for their polling stations. And so we're continuing to do a lot of things. We're going to be doing a rally in October, and then also we're supporting our women who have the right to choose. And that's what another step that we're talking about. But okay. one thing, if I can say this,
yes,
before we go, is that I heard Ice-T say this not too long ago. He said people know about the money they know about the money they have in the bank, but they don't know how much time they have. So you got to do what you need to do within that space, because time's going to run out. I know my day is going to expire one day, your day is going to expire, but it's about what we do in that space. We always know about how much money we got in the bank because we check it all the time, but you don't know how much time you have. So use your time wisely and try to work and help people in the community and bless other folks and get rid of the forgiveness is a good thing. Because, I got to work on that with some of my family members, but forgiveness and move on.
Yes. And you couldn't say it any better. And I think we will end with that, is to think about forgiveness and keep on moving, because we don't know how much time is in that space. And so, Al, I appreciate everything that you're doing. I mean, we could not even go through half the things that you've accomplished and those things that you have done that have positively impacted the community and brought people together and get them thinking. And who would have thought, as you say, just the barber could do all of this for so many people. So I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Hey, man.
And I got to come out and get my barbecue top.
I got you. I got some extra apron, and I got some Bath and Body Works for you too, man. Your lovely wife will like that.
Keep me smelling good.
That's right. Okay, man.
All right.
Thank you so much, man. I can tell you, man, it's a blessing to know you. Again, friendships are a value for me, man. I just love relationships and working with people, and just helping people, man, because again, we have to begin to build the next generation up, because it's gonna be different. By the time I get 80, like by the time I get 80, it's gonna be different. And I gotta be able to handle this. But man, I thank your audience for watching you, man, and you just gotta keep up the good work, man, because we go way back when you was at the Columbus, interviewing me when I was in 26, man. I'm 50 something.
I know, right?
Yeah. But I love you, man. That's why I just want to say that, man. I try to find a good way to say it, man. But I love you, man, and just keep doing what you're doing.
I love you too. And we didn't tell, what's the name of the barbershop and where are you?
Hey, Cut Above the Rest, 346 North 20th Street on Money Earning Mount Vernon. That's how I do it.
All right.
All right, my friend.
Well, peace. Thanks so much, Al. Appreciate you.
All right, man.
All right. Don't go away. I'm going to talk to you in just a bit. Well, my goodness, Al Edmondson, right? The man who can do it all, truly in the area, and he's not just a barber. So appreciate you, Al. Thanks for your words of encouragement and inspiration. All of that is making a difference in so many lives there in the community. So keep doing what you're doing. And that was his story.